Hello there people, this is Bruce Be Cool or Nintendo here. It is the 28th of March and it is my birthday, yay! So as my birthday gift to you, even though it should be the other way round, I am displaying my Turbo Exodia Deck on Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Decade Duels for the Xbox 360. Now this has been requested, it had quite a lot of positive feedback in the last video, so I'm glad to put this up for you guys. And by all means give it a try and mess around with it if you fancy like trying any other combos. So, as per usual, I'll go through the monsters, spells and traps. Well, maybe not so much traps because there are none, but I'll tell you why and again the strengths and weaknesses of the deck. So, starting off, we have obviously the first four pieces of Exodia there, and there is the head floating around, which we'll soon see. 2 Destiny Hero Malicious. Now, this is mainly to be used with Destiny Draw and then Allure of Darkness. And you can also find it with Dark Eruption if it's sent to the graveyard from things like Hand Destruction, Destiny Draw again. So yeah, quite a versatile little card that. 2 Destiny Hero Plasma. Again, can be used with Destiny Draw and Allure of Darkness, but also there is 1 trade-in in here as well. So if you can save this for a trade-in, then do it. Otherwise, you know, the idea of the deck is to rip through your deck as soon as possible. So if you have to use Allure of Darkness with it and end up with trading being a dead card, then go for it. You know, you can get rid of trading through other ways as well. We've then also got the head of Exodia, obviously. The heart of the deck now, 3 Royal Magical Libraries. So for those of you that don't know, each time a spell card is activated, then a spell counter jumps onto it, up to a maximum of 3, and then you can remove all 3 in your turn to draw a card, and then start the process again. So the idea of the deck is based on just using spells to draw as much as possible with Royal Magical Library. If you don't have it in your hand, then find it as soon as possible with multiple ways here, like Sangan, and Summon a Monk. There's also Gold Sarcophagus if you can afford to wait a few turns, but you have to get this as soon as possible. So yeah, grab it as soon as you can. 1 Sangan, as already shown. So use it with Royal Magical Library first, if you know, if you have to have it as your opponent's turn to attack it. If not, then use it with things like Allure of Darkness, or to find another piece of Exodia, depending how the duel is panning out. You know, more often than not, you're actually going to be using Royal Magical Library to draw a card, so if you have to use Sangan, then fair enough, at least it's there as a backup plan. Got 1 Summon a Monk. You can bung in a second one if you wanted to, but I find that's putting too many monsters in, and you want to try and use as many spells as possible. So 1 Summon a Monk, and the plus of that with Royal Magical Library, as long as you're using the effect, is it puts the library into defense mode face up as opposed to face up. So you're not going to be able to lose life points, or at least in a normal circumstance anyway, with Royal Magical Library and face up defense. And then we've got 1 Toon Cannon Soldier. Not ideal in your hand straight away, but it's for the use of Toon Table of Contents here at the bottom, which obviously I'll tell you how to use that shortly. We've then, going into spells, got 2 Allure of Darknesses, so you're going to use that with Toon Cannon Soldier, or the Summon a Monk if it's useless in your hand, or Sangan. You know how to use Allure of Darkness. Do not use it though as a gamble. So, say if you've got a piece of Exodia in your hand, and no other dark monsters, and you want to use this, then you could end up removing a piece of Exodia if you don't draw into any other dark monsters, and that would just ruin your game and you just want to rage quit. So do not do that. Use it when you can, when you're certain you can get rid of a different dark monster. Then got 2 Dark Eruptions here. It's there to find a piece of the Exodia if you've discarded it, or if your opponent's discarded it for you. And again, you can find things like Sangan, Malicious again, or even Toon Cannon Soldier if you really want. Now we've actually got 2 Destiny Draws here. Obviously, it's their Destiny Hero cards, and you draw 2 cards. Beautiful, beautiful. Again, use that with Malicious as opposed to Plasma if you can. Then got 2 Gold Sarcophagus. So it is there to find Royal Magical Library straight away, but if you've already got Royal Magical Library on the field, then you're going to want to thin your deck out with the cards you don't need. So say if you've drawn into 2 Citadels of Endymion, then you're going to want to, you know, get out the Terraforming, or you're going to want to get out the 3rd Royal Magical Library or 2nd Royal Magical Library, depending. So yeah, try and thin out the deck with the cards you don't need. Okay, so 2 Hand Destruction. Again, you can combo that with certain Exodia pieces and then use Dark Eruption afterwards. Yeah, I find 3 is too many and 1 is too few, so do use 2 of them, and yeah, use them when the time is right. Again, you can get rid of the Toon Cannon Soldier with it as well. There are lots of things you get rid of. Use it on your discretion, basically, what you get rid of. 2 magical citadel, lost my words there. 2 magical citadels of Endymion. It's basically like Royal Magical Library in the way that it keeps on building spell counters, but for more than 3. And the secret of it is, if Royal Magical Library is on the field, even if it doesn't have any spell counters, then you can substitute the spell counters on here instead. But you can only use that once per turn. So, if you've got both of these in your hand, then use the effect of one of them, and then lay the second one down, and then use the effect of the second one. 2 magical mallets, because you are going to draw into rubbish occasionally. For example, like 2 Toon Table of Contents, or a lot of Destiny Hero monsters, etc, etc. So you're going to want to bang stuff back in the deck so you could draw into it later and keep the draw engine going. A monster reborn. If you're lucky, you'd end up discarding a second Royal Magical Library with hand destruction or through something like that. So use Monster Reborn, get the second one out, and as long as you keep the draw engine up, then it's basically game over. Once there is a second Royal Magical Library out, the opponent usually doesn't stand a chance unless they somehow counter the Monster Reborn or something like that, obviously. So yep, try and target Royal Magical Library if you can. 2 Spell Power Grasps. I find that 3 is too many, and the third one usually ends up being dead in the deck. But yeah, basically it's like adding 2 spell counters on Royal Magical Library, because you place 1 spell counter on it through the card effect, and then the Royal Magical Library, due to a spell card being activated, gets the second one anyway. So yeah, beautiful little card there, and then discard the second one if you fancy. A Terraforming for the Citadel of Endymion, obviously. 3 Toon Table of Contents. We obviously browsed over that a little bit earlier on. So what you're going to want to do, if you draw into 1, then use it to find the second Toon Table, then use that to draw into the third one, and then use that to get the Toon Cannon Soldier. So yep, that rips through 3 cards straight away, and that's 3 spell counters as well for Royal Magical Library. 1 trade-in, again, that's with Destiny Hero Plasma. Otherwise, if you've already got rid of Plasma, then discard it as soon as you can, or bung it back into the deck with Magical Mallet. 3 Upstart Goblins, because you have to. And yeah, that's it. So as I've mentioned, no trap cards. I do find that trap cards are slow, and you have to rely on your opponent's turn to activate them. So things like Reckless Greed, although nice, do not do it. You want to rely on the spell counter draw engine more than anything else. Now, going into the side deck, I'll do that first before the extra deck, because there's a cheeky little first turn kill if you fancied it. So I saw this online. I've forgotten who the duelist was, but you know, kudos to him for doing it, basically. Plaguespreader Zombie. So you would get that into the graveyard with things like Hand Destruction or Foolish Burial, which you'll see in this side deck here. And you would then get that out with Royal Magical Library. Or sorry, in conjunction with Royal Magical Library. You wouldn't do it with it, because that's, well, 2 normal summons, isn't it? So anyway, yep, you would then summon out Tempest Magician. You would build up to have 16 spell counters, and yeah, you would just blow up the field basically with all the spell counters. That's 8,000 damage. So in a nutshell, once this is summoned, you gain a spell counter. Magical Citadel of Endymion will be developing spell counters as well. And yeah, you then just use all the spell counters you can to destroy the opponent. So yeah, beautiful. Anyway, back to the side deck. So we've got Plaguespreader Zombie there. Summon a Monk, a second one. Like I said, you can play a second one if you fancy. 2 Burials from a different dimension if your opponent's removing any of your pieces. 2 Foolish Burials. A Giant Trunade, so you can get the Magical Citadel of Endymion back to your hand and then use the effect again if you want. 2 Monster Reincarnations. 3 Pot of Avarice if your opponent is ripping through your monsters for you, or through your deck. And 3 Imperial Iron Wall. This is the only trap I would really play, but even then I'd be a bit hesitant, because you know, you're relying on your opponent's turn to then be able to activate this. Now, if you do plan to go for the first turn kill, then I would suggest taking out obviously the 5 Exodia pieces, putting the Plaguespreader Zombie, 2 Foolish Burials. You could even put in the 2 Monster Reincarnations if you wanted to. Something where you would trade 5 for 5 basically. Okay, and that's about it in a nutshell. Like I say, got the extra deck there. I'd probably suggest 3 Tempest Magicians because you're not going to be sinking that much anyway. And obviously you've got Chimeratech Fortress Dragon just in case. So, that is about it. Strengths of the deck can be very, very fast and finish off the opponent in 1 turn, regardless of which engine you go for. The sad part of it is, though, if you draw the absolute wrong hand, because you really can draw a terrible, terrible hand, then the game is over before it's even begun, really, unless you're extremely lucky. So on that note, I would say this deck, although fun and unique, do not expect to win many tournaments with it, because it's very inconsistent. Although there's more wins than losses, it's inconsistent when it happens. Like, it won't be your fault. It can't be you making mistakes. It'll be the way the deck is constructed. So, on that note, let me know what you guys think of it. So, you know, put comments in the comments section below. Give us a thumbs up if you do love it. And, yeah, I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. So, as always, you guys take care, and I will see you again soon.